Microchip technologies, the name is mentioned more often because we use their chips. And with the Things Network, we started with, well, just a handful of chips, then it went a couple of hundred, a couple of thousands. But how do you go to millions? And this chip manufacturer is actually going in the other direction because they used to manufacture chips by the millions. Jonathan Pearce, you perhaps already met him during one of the workshops or at the table. And he will now go us through the journey from 1 to a million. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jonathan Pearce.
This way. Well, hello everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Jonathan Pearce. I'm the LoRa product line manager at Microchip. And the title of the talk here is the journey from 1 to a million. And it gives me the opportunity to do a few things. One, talk about the journey that we've gone through with the Things Network. Talk about how we can help you scale up from making one device, your first device, all the way up to a million, and actually beyond a million. Of course, we don't want to stop there. But also, not least, we want to describe to you some of the workshops that we have ongoing yesterday, today, tomorrow, and encourage you to come and talk to us, get your hands dirty on these workshops. So I'll introduce those as we go through. Is this working? This is not working. Nothing's happening here. Where should I put this? Hey, there we go. I didn't stop at millions. It's going up still.
Why isn't that a LoRa product?
Yeah, this is Sigfox. It's not working. Hey, there we go. It clicked. It clicked. So, it's clicking lots of times. Now I have to go back. So this is the journey I'm describing, and the journey starts somewhere. And actually, the journey starts here, not necessarily here, but at the Rockstart office in Amsterdam. This is day one. People in the audience, was there anyone who can claim to be at this? This is the first meeting of the Things Network, the kickoff. So yes, we got some people, and yes, Jeroen, I know, was there. I'm sorry to say, actually, I wasn't there. I wanted to be there, and I had a conflict. But my colleague, my favorite sales guy, Jeroen, came in. And this is where the relationship between Microchip and Things Network started, really, this picture at the beginning. We could say for Microchip, LoRaWAN maybe started 1 year before, and the LoRa Alliance actually was formed just before this. So this was the summer of 2015. It was around about March of 2015 that the LoRa Alliance was formed at Mobile World Congress. So two things about that. I think the first thing is recognizing that, the founders, Wink and Johan, they were quick to recognize the capability, the opportunity, and they did react and they took action to do it. So I'm pleased they did, because they've built this community. And also the other way, I'm pleased that Microchip was quick to join and make commitments and start this journey with Things Network. So at that point, or maybe preceding that time, LoRa and LoRaWAN was somewhat secret. There's a lot of, some noise in the market, but not much information. And this was before the LoRa Alliance was formed. So during the first phase of this journey, our task, really, as Microchip, wasn't so much selling a product. We did launch a product, but our task really was to educate the market. So we have our own developer conferences called Masters. I don't know if you know of these, but from that point, we included LoRaWAN in those courses. We must have taught thousands and thousands of engineers about LoRaWAN. So this was the first phase. Now, this is my segue to introduce to you the first workshop that we have ongoing there today. So it's to build your first device. So for people who are new into this community or new into the ecosystem, come and see us with an Arduino kit, this Arduino kit, in fact. We can help you build your first application. We can guide you with one which we've suggested by adding on the Grove connectors of this Arduino kit. We can add accelerometers, gyros, and such things. And the example code creates a pedometer or a Fall sensor and sends this data to the LoRa network, the TTM network. Of course, you could be creative, you could add different sensors, you can do whatever you choose. So that's the first workshop, building your first device. Now, on that first device, this Arduino kit here, this has the module, which is what we launched to the market at that point about 3 years ago. And I'm not going to try and sell this to you. I'm not going to go through bullet points and pitch it. I just wanted to state where we were at that point in the journey. I will mention about this module, it's now probably not the sexiest module, it's not the smallest module, but I don't make any apologies for it because it's actually probably the most successful module. A lot of our network partners who often pre-approve devices that join their networks, they tell me that 50% of everything that comes across their desk to be pre-approved often has a microchip module inside. So it is what the market needed at that time. It was a black box, simple interfaces, a UART on one side, 50 ohm connection for the antenna on the other side. We did the stack, we certified the stack to make it stable, and that was the design choice which we made at the time, and now on reflection, I'm pretty happy we did. It's what has made this a successful module. So in the early phases, we felt this is what the market needed. And on that slide, it mentioned certification. So on this journey and the milestones which help us ramp up from 1 to 1 million, certification was something that happened during that first year. Again, the LoRa Alliance came to Rotterdam, actually, at the end of the year. It was in November, end of 2015. And that's where they launched the LoRaWAN certification scheme. Now, I think everyone agrees for these large-scale networks to ramp up, interoperability is a key factor. And certification, it's not the whole story, but it's the first step towards interoperability to prove the quality of devices, that they're following the standard as they should. And so Microchip very much committed to that immediately. As it was launched at the end of November, we immediately submitted our device. Before this time, we'd always told everyone it was the best device, the best stack, and the most stable, and we were validated by passing the certification in the first week. So we continue to be committed to this, and we encourage you also to certify your devices. So a good example of that is one of our customers, one of our favorite customers, you would say, has become the kind of the poster child of the community and the LoRa Alliance. You'll see this, I'm sure you've seen this mousetrap many times already. So this uses our module on the inside. They also agree with the concept of being certified. And through the development process and the engagement, I somewhat made a personal commitment. When we were working through one issue, as we do with our customers, I said, don't worry, we'll fix the issue, we will recertify, and I'll commit to get through the certification by similarity process with you, which has now been done. So this customer is certified through Microchip certification. So we went through the process of transferring that to their product. And so that's something which is available through the Alliance and through us to help you on that journey. Now, I include the TTM Gateway at this point in the journey because it also relates back to that LoRa Alliance members meeting in Rotterdam, end of 2015. That was the point where, in a room, with pizzas and beers, we had the discussion with Things Network about this principle of unlocking the developer community with a developer gateway. Microchip had already made a development gateway kit at that time. Other gateways on the market were €1,000, maybe more, at the time. And it was a blocking point for communities to get started. So we had the shared vision of making an easier entry point, a developer's gateway at a lower cost. And I raise it in the fact that knowing that there's been a lot of anticipation. I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for your development gateway. I hope a lot of you have now received them. Mine came during January. I was on the list as well. But it's a good opportunity because from my side, I saw the blood, sweat, and tears to get here. So it's a good opportunity to thank the Things Network, the Things products, and the Microchip people who contributed to this as well. It was a tough journey, but we're there at last. they were pretty happy about the whole Kickstarter thing as well. So the next step in the journey, LoRaWAN is not a static thing. It's not a spec which has been written and set in stone. Within the LoRa Alliance, it's a continuation. We benefit from 500 members in the Alliance giving feedback when they find bugs or deficiencies or things that need clarifications. And feature additions, which sometimes are driven by the requirements of telcos or relative to our competitors, other technologies. So the point I'd like to raise here is one, that the LoRaWAN standard is evolving, but also there are new features becoming added to it, and I'm not proposing to describe all of these new features, but I've pulled out 3 in the top bullet points here, which relate to security or to enhanced security. So the LoRaWAN specification is very much considered fit for purpose for security. It's been debated a lot, and it's been discussed and decided that, yes, for sensor nodes, AES encryption, 128 bits, end-to-end encryption, it's good and satisfactory. So the Alliance has no ambition to extend that. But with Class C comes multicast sessions and shared keys amongst many devices. The guide is you have unique keys per device, but now with multicast sessions, you have shared keys. There's handover roaming between networks, which involves more keys. And then firmware over-the-air updates, which is actually being demonstrated as we speak in the next classroom. I'm annoyed I'm missing it because I'm standing here. But so firmware over-the-air updates, of course, raises concern of if someone can inject malicious code over the air into your device, you could break into the system this way. So all of these topics raise the idea of enhanced security, and I'm sure you've heard it talked about by other speakers over these last few days. So it's a problem to be solved. It can be solved by adding an additional layer of security at the application level. And our solution to that problem is to add secure elements with very hardened storage of those keys so they can never be compromised or extracted. So this is my segue to the next workshop we have running over there, which is the use of a secure element. Again, it uses the same Arduino kit, which not by chance at all has a secure element fitted to it, just for this reason. And this workshop will show how to interface to that secure element, how it can be used for hardened storage of the keys. And I introduce this as a direction that we're taking in our future modules to include this hardened security going forward. So we'd like to engage with you on that. So again, please come to these workshops. Now there's a next step in terms of these secure elements, and it's to do with commissioning. And on my journey from 1 to 1 million, this is a very important point, is I'm sure everyone's experience today with commissioning and your own use of Things Network is most often my device, my keys, type them into a console one by one, enable devices one by one, which is great, but it's not realistic to expect to do this in the scale of millions. It also is prone to errors, of course. It's prone to human weaknesses that I generate keys and email it to my friend, and that's completely insecure. And it's often insecure within our workshops where we write them down on pieces of paper, or we use common keys for everyone. So the secure element concept gives this opportunity for us to eliminate all of that. So we can pre-provision secure elements in our factory, in our secure HSM. We can manage the sales channel, so these get built in China or wherever they may get built in very large scale, and the keys are never exposed outside this root of trust. So we have a workshop covering this as well. Now, my small caveat here is the person leading the workshop actually ended up not coming. So we have the workshop, we can show it to you, but the expert, which we hoped you could talk to, may not be here. So this Arduino kit, as well as LoRaWAN connectivity, also includes a BLE module as well. And the idea here is to show how you can use some kind of automation, in this case BLE, to inject those keys to the secure element as well. So this kind of gets more towards present day now. Those are all things we've been doing. Now, of course, within the LoRa Alliance, which is very much an open ecosystem, and within the Things Network, which is an open source kind of community, it's a very important aspect of LoRaWAN. And I would say, somewhat unfortunately, Microchip has been somewhat on the outside of that, because up until now, the module I showed you before has an 8-bit PIC microcontroller inside. It was kind of done almost to prove a point that a small 8-bit micro is capable of running a LoRaWAN stack. And it does, so that's fine, even with AES implemented in software. But we see all of these open initiatives, LoRaMac from Semtech on GitHub, the firmware over-the-air update examples, it's all based around ARM cores. Now, Microchip acquired Atmel a couple of years ago, and happily now we have full families of ARM cores at our disposal. So we're moving in this direction. It allows us to participate in these open source initiatives. And this is the next workshop that we have going on today. So this is to use the LoRaMac GitHub stack. We've now added the HAL layer for the SAM-L product line of microcontrollers. So you can very easily apply that stack onto any devices made with SAM-L microcontrollers. So our workshop in this case, and I've labeled this as a basic workshop because really it's going to the repository, downloading all the resources there, installing the tools, and this will run directly on a standard Microchip SAM-L21 kit, which has a Semtech radio plugged into the side. So it's a 2-chip solution with the radio as a bolt-on. And again, please come and experiment with this, and we hope it generates interest that you now see that LoRaMac repository is not purely targeted at ST devices, as it has been up until now. You have a new choice within that repository. For those who are a bit more adventurous, a bit more brave, you could also use that stack onto a real device. So instead of a development kit with a radio plugged in the side, we talked with one of our customers who makes this very nice industrial sensor. You may have seen this on Kickstarter, and it's displayed on the Wall of Fame as well. This is the Factory Lab Fennec temperature sensor, just without the case. Now that uses the SAM-L21 MCU as well. So the challenge in this case is to take the LoRaMac stack and port it down onto this hardware. And I've labeled this as advanced because actually it's not targeting that hardware. You have to do some pin mapping and porting to communicate with the radio in this case. So hence being more an advanced challenge. But I'd love to see people playing with that one. Okay, back to this journey of 1 to 1 million. And now we get to the point of transitioning from modules to chips on the board. So everything I've talked about up until now has been focused around this RN2483 module that we've had in the market today. But we Microchip, we're a semiconductor vendor. Our job is to build, design, supply chips in very large volumes. So this is a conversation we have with our customers every day. It's perfectly normal, where we have the discussion about why you should choose a module, why you should choose a chip. And with LoRaWAN, we've definitely been in the phase of you should use a module up until now, for all those reasons I described about being a black box. Stability of the solution, fast time to market. We maintain the evolution of the LoRaWAN stack to isolate you from those kind of problems. But as we scale up to higher volumes, economics come in, the cost becomes more critical, and chips become more valid. So, well, just to explain the graph on the screen, it's really just to introduce the conversation. But what this shows is the lifetime cost. During the R&D phase, you're burning money, you're going negative. And when you're selling, when you've launched your product, you're creating money and going positive. And by any measure, a chip design is more intensive. You need more engineers, more equipment, more time, everything. So you burn money quicker, you go more negative for longer. But then you have the benefit of climbing up at a steeper slope when you come out of the other side. It is somewhat surprising, actually, how long it takes before you recover your R&D costs, because engineers' time is valuable, right? And it's a scarce resource. So we, as a supplier, this is the state we're in now, is managing this transition. We've seeded the market with modules, and now we're, I guess you would say, harvesting the market, transitioning up to high volume with chip sales. And by the way, we continue with the modules. That's they won't go away. So I just wanted to finish on this slide. I hope I'm doing okay for time. To talk about those levels of integration. Now, Microchip is not a company which pre-announces or gives long-term roadmaps of where we're going. We're conservative in that we just talk about a product when you can buy it. But I can talk about what we've done in other technologies. Bluetooth, for example, this is a BLE module. It's a good example because it started using third-party silicon. This module on the screen was a very popular module for us. It's another RN-style module with a UART interface. This one actually has the antenna built in. But it used someone else's silicon, much like we do with LoRa. We use Semtech silicon for the radio. But once you enter the market, you see the market and get traction, then you raise your investment. In this case, we moved to SoCs by acquisition in this case, and we have whole product lines of BLE SoCs. And then once you have those in place, again, we make modules so we can serve our customers with the best chip or the best module, depending on their needs. And I chose the module that's actually included on this Arduino kit. So that's the kind of transition we've made with Bluetooth. Exactly the same with Wi-Fi. This Wi-Fi module used Qualcomm silicon in the first case. We raised our investment. The picture in the middle is an Amazon Dash button, which has our SoC on the board there. And then with that SoC, of course, we make more modules. We've done it with proprietary things like sub-gigahertz, MyWire's Microchip wireless protocol. This one's not LoRa, though. This is an FSK radio for sub-gigahertz. But this is where you'll see, I've labeled it, it uses the SAM-L21 microcontroller. So you can see this is the core of choice for us for merging in our wireless product lines. No module for that one, but the next one in the list is Zigbee. Similar kind of transition. The SoC used in this case uses a SAM-L21 again with a 2.4 gig radio, and then a module based on that. So I think I've kind of painted the trend, right? So we're here with LoRa. We have the module we have today. We're raising our investment, and I see cameras up. So I'll go back to the caveat of what I said at the beginning. We don't, unfortunately, pre-announce products and show long-term roadmaps. But technically, I've not broken any Microchip Marcom rules. I've not told you any part numbers or what's available. But I hope I've made it pretty clear that the SAM-L21 is the MCU of choice for our transition to volume. We are in the business of migrating these wireless technologies to high volume. And I hope you can trust us to do it again with LoRaWAN. So again, I'd encourage you to come and talk to us on the stand and come and see what we've got. So slightly ahead of time, I'll say thank you. I hope we can take you to this lofty scale of millions of pieces, and hopefully more than 1 million as well in our future. Thank you.
And thank you, Jonathan. Well, it actually turned out to be a guided tour through the candy store. I was wondering well, for you, it's educating the market. Events like this, people get their hands dirty and they see how it works. Is it also fed back, this knowledge, to you guys in R&D, that if you come on an event like this and people obviously do things with your chips you didn't imagine, how is this knowledge fed back to them?
This is why we have some of our core developers here, actually based in India. So they've traveled from India to come to this event to interact with this audience and talk directly with them. And of course, the core team of the LoRa product line are here for just the same reason. And we really value that feedback from people.
Okay, so give them feedback. You can also give feedback now. Questions, remarks, ideas, theories, anything? Yeah, over there. Hello.
Hi.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Paul. How does the certification by similarity actually work when someone builds a product around your module? How
That's
is
a good
that
question.
different from the traditional certification?
Okay, yeah. So the traditional certification of the Law Alliance, actually one of the initial objectives was always to make it low cost, low burden. So it's quite a minimal test, a few hours of test time. It costs around $2,000 or euros to do that. But it does involve testing directly of the end device. But again, with this focus on minimizing the cost to you, they created this process of certification by similarity. Bluetooth has similar. So Bluetooth, we can have a qualified device, a qualified ID, which we can give to our customers. They take that to the Bluetooth SIG, and they basically review the documentation, and you have to explain you've done nothing bad, not broken anything. And that's really exactly what the Law Alliance is doing. We have spearheaded this process. The Mousetrap was the first to go through this process for North America, just completed. So the way the process happens is there's a questionnaire. In that questionnaire, the Mousetrap would reference the microchip module, hardware versions, firmware versions, such things. And it would make explanations of we've followed the guidelines, we haven't done anything bad in the code, we've followed default settings, and such things to prove they've not broken any of the functionality. Of course, if you deleted the firmware, wrote your own, you could do anything. But it becomes then a paperwork review exercise. There is a nominal fee because it's reviewed by one of the test houses, and they have their admin fee, but it's, well, 100 or 200 euros, I believe, to go through.
Yeah, so that's right. Any other questions, remarks, responses, philosophies, gossip, theories, anything? No, you're all set. Okay, thank you very much. Jonathan Pearce.
Thanks.